Okay, so it's Monday, May 23rd. Far as we know, the world did not come to an end. I don't know where you were on Saturday at 6 o'clock, but I was driving to Fort Worth on my way to a wedding, and as I actually thought all along, it didn't happen. It's interesting to me how throughout time people have really been just infatuated with end of the world kind of stuff. And this guy from California who made this latest prediction about the end of the world is not the first guy to do it. In fact, this is not even the first time he's done it. This, I think, is his third attempt at trying to figure out when all this is supposed to happen. And the Millerites did this years ago, and Jesus didn't return, and so he turned his attention from the end of the world stuff to establishing a new church. And so the Seventh-day Adventist church began, and the founder of Jehovah's Witnesses did the same thing. So there have been all kinds of folks that have predicted the end of the world, and so far they've all been wrong. Jesus told us that the end is coming, and so I would probably decide that I'm going to defer to what he has to say. And what he said was, nobody really knows the time, only the Father knows that. And then the Apostle Paul, who I think had a little bit to say about it as well, said, I'm not going to talk to you about times and seasons. I'm just going to talk to you about the kind of life you're supposed to be living. Well, you know, as strange as all that was, at the end of the day, what I would say about it is the end of the world is coming. We know that. Jesus Christ is going to return. The Bible's very clear about that. And so we're supposed to be living a certain kind of life regardless of when it comes. And we also read in God's Word, it's His desire for everybody to come to know Him. And so what we're supposed to be about, at least one of the things we're supposed to be about prior to the return of Jesus, is just sharing this message and letting others know about what it means to follow Christ and to receive the life that He offers us. So we begin this new spiritual growth area. Share is what we're calling it. And if you were here Sunday morning, you heard what I had to say about the challenges that we all will face whenever we're trying to share this gospel. The gospel has always faced challenges. In the first century, we talked about some of those Sunday morning, the intellectual challenges and the cultural factors that put pressure upon those early Christians, and the religious climate in which Christianity was birthed. All the different belief systems that were swirling about in those days, and the pagan ideologies and entire economies that were just built upon pagan God and goddess worship. Those were tremendous challenges. But the good news is the gospel survived them all. This message that we have received, this message that focuses upon Jesus Christ Himself, it's a sturdy, hardy message. And it survived the challenges of the first century. I believe it's going to survive the challenges of the 21st century. And so I've issued you a church challenge as we walk into these next 8 weeks. And I'm asking you this week to read these passages from the book of Acts that we looked at Sunday morning, and we're going to spend a good bit of time over the next 8 weeks in the book of Acts. And we're going to try to answer these challenges. The first challenge is that I will do what I can to make sure that I share the gospel of Jesus with at least one person during this 8-week time. In other words, I'll get ready, make sure that I understand the gospel myself, and do the best I can to communicate that message to another person. I'm asking all of us in the church to embrace that challenge, and I want to hear the stories. I want to hear what happens, whether they're successful or not so successful. Just to hear what happens when you try to share this message with someone else. And then also, I've asked that we add to that we will somehow make a decision to expand our personal commitment to missions during this 8-week span as well. Because share is both about evangelism and about missions. And so the mission of God is something that we need to be committed to as followers of Jesus. So this week in your readings, I want you just to look and pay attention at how Paul did this. Paul shared this gospel personally. He also shared it on a grand scale because he was a missionary, and so he went from place to place preaching and proclaiming this message. And there was great power upon Paul and upon his ministry. But he did personal evangelism as well as helping to shape the missiology of the Christian church. We still look to Paul for missiological principles. He still has an influence upon our missionaries to this day. So this week as you're reading, just look for those principles. Look for the things that you and I together can learn about sharing the gospel with our world. It's a powerful message. I have no idea when all this is going to come to an end, but I want to be faithful to the end. And I want to make sure that as many people as possible can hear the message about Jesus until He returns. So let's be faithful in sharing. I hope you have a great week.